Hey everyone. I am so happy to welcome you to Living from the Golden Zone, Key Shifts for Menopause and Midlife. I hope you've been enjoying this Full Living After 50 series. I've been having an incredible time talking to all of the experts and asking all the questions about these mysterious things that pop up during 45 to 55, 60, and really getting to some pretty practical answers about what we can do to feel better. But this talk today is about kind of what happens on the inside, right? The mindset, the belief system, the energy that we come to life with. And I'll get into my story in a minute. So the premise for this, and in fact, the whole Full Living After 50 program is really about that midlife is this time when we have to let go of what we have learned and plug into what we know. Let go of what we've learned and plug into what we know. Why? Because the old strategies just aren't working anymore. We've done the pleasing, the proving, the perfectionism. We've been the good girl. We've done the success. We've followed the rules. And frankly, that got us here, but it's not going to get us there. It's not going to get us to our next best expression of who we are. So really, this talk today is really digging deep in how can we notice our energy, and so that we can make some subtle shifts to really get into what I call the golden zone. So in this time of transition, reinvention, and rebirth, what if we could kick all the shoulds to the curb and follow our own knowing? What if we could make decisions from our own inner authority instead of all the outside stuff? And what if we could create the life we love, really guided by intuition and taking soul guided action? Like, if it's not now, when is it going to be? So those are the I guess the tenets of Full Living After 50 for me. And as I was thinking of fullness is such a powerful word, and it's been so important in my life. One of my favorite things around Thanksgiving is being grateful, right? Like, you literally feel full of gratitude at that dinner table with all the friends and all the time to connect and all the yummy food. So that fullness really is an acronym for filled up. So there's no lacking. There's nothing lacking. It's filled up. Undefended. U is for undefended, and you're open, because life can't be lived closed. It really can't. And L is for in love, with gratitude and self-compassion. This is the time we get really good at being super loving to ourselves. And the final L of full is limitless. And if you know me, I'm all about finding possibility and the limitless, exploring the limitless parts of our nature. So that's what you're in for when it comes to Full Living After 50. Now, why after 50? Well, I've kind of mentioned a few reasons. This time in life really is a doorway into a new relationship with yourself. It's a time of contrast. Let's not, make it out to be something that's super simple or super easy. I think many of us go through a ton of pain and confusion and disappointment and discouragement and loss around this time of menopause, just simply because our bodies are no longer behaving in a way that we can rely on. We can see our desires even more clearly because of the absence of our desires in our life. The things that we always took for granted, or the things that we always loved and enjoyed, all of a sudden it's kind of like a reframe. It's like you have to find a new way forward. And what I noticed in my journey is that there was a lot of longing for what was. There was some grieving for what used to be, a bit of nostalgia, and certainly comparison to others, like how come I can't do that? Or how come, that doesn't work for me anymore? There's a lot of chance to feel really victimized by our bodies as they age. And personally, I felt really betrayed. I thought I had done all the things and I was a good person and a good girl and I followed rules. And like, it was a battle. It was a battle between me and my body and getting it to do what I thought it needed to do. And just as I thought I was getting, my routine down, the rug got pulled out from under me, and pieces of my life, who I thought I was, began to topple. So that's the contrast. And that's why this conversation is so important at this phase of our life, because, I noticed that I really dwelled in a lot of that loss and a lot of that betrayal and a lot of that disconnection, even though the rest of my life was, very positive and very successful. And, I teach this stuff, but when it came to my body, it was a different animal. It was a different animal. I had to learn to really apply these principles in a new and deeper way. And I'll go into my story in a bit. But first, I just want to take a minute, because I'm not sure if all of you have taken the energy quiz that's on my website. And if you have, what it shows you is a framework that I use. I call it the energy map. And it is a 2x2 of 4 different energy zones that I feel like we find ourselves in, regardless of the time in our life. Just they're kind of 4 different, 3 of them are real default energies, and 1 is what I call the golden zone. So I have a very non-slick representation right here, because I didn't want to deal with slides. But you can see that in this 4x4, from hustle to golden, down here is autopilot and struggle. These are kind of the main energies that I find high achieving women wrestle with. And in fact, most of my life and my clients live in the hustle zone. But when it came to my body, I realized I was spending a ton of time here in struggle, and frankly, a little bit of autopilot, because I didn't really want to deal with what was happening or come to terms with it. So in this 4x4, what's the most important thing, and I'm going to leave you a download with this talk so that you can get your own reference. But the most important part of this is just knowing, first of all, doesn't it feel good to know, just naming. I know when I feel great, awesome. But when I feel out of it, which zone am I in? Am I hustling and really striving and forcing and pushing and making stuff happen? Am I in struggle, which is really like, kind of like the woe is me, world's against me, what's happening, it's not fair? And then autopilot, who hasn't spent some time here where it's like, okay, I'll do what you guys need and I'll put my stuff on hold. In fact, I probably won't even check in with myself, because I'm just delivering for other people. Maybe I'm distracting myself. Maybe I'm avoiding a little bit of, self-connection. So just naming these zones, I think, is in of itself huge value, because I realized I was going in and out of certainly these zones, but also a little bit of hustle when it came to my body and the changes that were happening. And so the other really important thing you want to notice on this map are these axes, right? These are ways to go in and out of the zones, because it's nice to name it, but like, what are you going to do about it? And so in this download that I have prepared for you, I have really specific qualities that each zone portrays, so that you can make some really, intentional decisions about how you want to show up, and what choices you want to make in your own mindset, as well as just actions in your life. So the final point on this is what I want to point out is these axes are from toil to trust, right? So this is the horizontal axis. We do a ton of toiling as highly successful, savvy women. We are a lot of times in this make it happen, do it myself. I'm smart, I can figure it out, lone wolfy kind of activity. And I know that you cannot get to the golden zone if you are if you're living here. So really embracing trust, and how do we allow and let go, and really be held and receive. These are all really important qualities of the golden zone. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And then the final axis you really want to know is between self-forgetting and this self-honoring. And this is, I mean, I've even called this self-abandonment. I've had times in my life where, you know, I didn't care for myself at all. It was all about getting a job done, or it was about, you know, keeping the plates spinning and forgetting that you're the spinner and you need to take care of yourself. So there's this whole axis around self-forgetting, and then up to here, self-honoring. And really, those are the two dials that I want to share with you today, because as obvious as they are, you can spend a lifetime really probing and getting better mastery of how can I honor myself? How can I trust? And so that's where we're going to focus on today. So I wanted to just describe a little bit about the zones themselves, and kind of when it comes to the body and midlife, how you might be feeling. So in the hustle, that's a zone where, think of hustle as kind of this very rigid, lots of shoulding, lots of push and force, like I call it the lone wolf. You know, it's basically, I'll figure it out, or you know, I got to make it happen. There's a fixation on figuring it out and problem solving. There's a lot of looking at what's wrong and trying to fix it. And there's a sense of desperation of doing, and like, if I just do more, like I'll just throw more at it and then I'll get some result. And so the kind of the tagline I use for hustle is this notion of fix it at all costs, right? And so when it comes to the body and menopause and the changes, you know, I was certainly in a lot of hustle energy about, especially when all the mysterious weight gain happened, which there was a ton of shame around, because let's just admit it, in our society, weight gain is seen as like some kind of moral flaw. And there was confusion because I had really been, quote, following the rules. I had my tracker on, I was on my schedule. Now, all of a sudden I'd get mysterious joint pain and bursitis and, you know, things that would limit the amount of exercise I could do. And it was so frustrating because here I was just fixated on this problem. Like, I got to fix it. I got to fix it. And so I spent a lot of time in hustle energy when it came to my menopause journey. Now, the struggle energy, this is one I don't go to very often, but I realized maybe a year or so into my menopause journey, which frankly I didn't know was menopause at the time. I was just like, what the hell is going on? I realized, oh my gosh, in all my life, in all the different areas, I'm incredibly empowered. And I feel like I'm the creator of my own life. But when it came to my body, I was in struggle. And what that looked like was very much a victim energy. Like, it's unfair. I used to be able to do this. Now I can't do that. You know, my friends can walk, you know, for 5 miles. I can only walk for 3 miles because then my hips are giving out. You know, I used to be so fit and athletic, or, you know, tons of comparison about where you are versus where other people are. There was a lot around alcohol. Like, you know, it's not fair that, you know, they can drink alcohol without any issues and side effects, and I can't drink alcohol because I feel like crap in the morning as far as my joints. Turns out I have an allergy to sulfites. There's a lot of it's happening to me. Like, you just feel out of, like, your life is you're at the effect of some kind of doom and gloom. Let's just be clear. And you're constantly focusing on what you don't want. Right? And you've all lived in this energy before. I know you have. When we can name all the things that are sucky or that we don't want, we're kind of getting fixated on what we don't want instead of really creating what it is we do want. And we're really in resistance. right? We are not ready to accept that all these changes have taken place and that I have to find a new way. We're still kind of holding on to this, like, but, you know, it used to work and I used to be able to do it this way. And, you know, why do I have to change? Can you hear the inner tantrum? That's really the struggle energy. And the tagline for this one is, it's never going to get better. And I can tell you that as positive as I am, there were pieces of this journey, and I'd say it's been the last 2 to 3 years, where just little things, you know, frozen shoulders, bursitis, weird weight gain, appendicitis, you know, crazy hormonal like energy dips based on my hormones, which I didn't know at the time. No libido. I mean, let's be clear. I mean, the list goes on, but instead of being a bitch fest, I wanted to just paint it as, normally I'm really positive, and in this case, I felt pretty much like it's never going to get better. It's just downhill from here, right? Who hasn't felt that way? It's just all downhill. Plus, by the way, we're told that, but that's true, and it's not. Okay, so the final default category, hustle, struggle, is autopilot. And who hasn't enjoyed a good, you know, stretch in autopilot? Because wow, the things that we do as busy entrepreneurs and getter-doners, like sometimes we just have to turn everything off in order to just keep things moving. So autopilot really is around numbing and distraction. And I know that, you know, TV watching, Facebook scrolling, even some folks get really involved in other people's lives as kind of a way to distract from just what's happening in their own world. And it's a shutdown from your own intuition. Like, you don't have access because you are, well, you're not open. You're constantly looking out there. You're other focused rather than inner focused. And you put on a really good face. And no one probably knows that you're struggling with anything because you're just like, hey, it's fine. I'm fine. How many times have we said, fine? And really there's very little paid attention to self-care. Like if I really don't see a lot of self-care practices happening when we're on autopilot. And the adage or the tagline for this zone is really, just don't think about it, right? Just don't think about it. Maybe it'll work itself out. Just don't think about it. And there were times I think I went from autopilot to struggle, because, you know, struggle is so exhausting. And just to get some relief, I would go into autopilot when it came to all the changes happening in my body. And then, of course, back to hustle, to like, okay, this week I'm going to do the thing that, you know, 400%, because maybe that will give me some solution. Do you see how exhausting and depleting these energy zones are? I hope you're getting that point. And I hope you're seeing that all of us can be in all the different zones at different times. It's not that we're in one zone and we hang out there, although we probably tend to have a dominant type. But the value of this framework is that we notice how we navigate our lives, and just even naming, ooh, that's an autopilot thought, or wow, I'm really hustling around this, or God, I really feel like a victim. I'm probably in struggle. That just awareness, naming it, is starts moving the energy. I guarantee that. So now let's talk about what golden feels like. And I know that a lot of you already know this feeling, but I'm going to name it so that you can recognize it and you can be really deliberate with getting yourself into that golden energy. So golden zone energy is really present to your feeling. How am I feeling? You're not shutting it down. You're not making it wrong. You're not pretending that you don't feel. There's a lot of self-compassion. In fact, you can spend a lifetime mastering the act of self-compassion, and there's always room to do more, because this notion of just loving on yourself and letting yourself be exactly as you are. And really, that's a great quality of this zone, is allowing what is, right? Making space for what is, without the judgment, without the fixing, without the freak out, just the, yeah, okay, bursitis, hips, you hurt right now, okay. And then then the self-honoring comes. How can I help you, hips? How can I help you, libido? How can I help you, wanting to have an extra drink at night, which is a great strategy because it gets you out of the pain of struggle and it gets you into kind of a numbing, like workable numbing situation. But ultimately, it's not the golden zone. The golden zone is where you really resource yourself, and you honor yourself. What do you need? You soothe yourself. What do you need right now? Maybe you need a good laugh with a friend. Maybe you need to get out and go dance and tell your family, you're closing the door and you're dancing and, don't open it because you just want to be free to express yourself for a little bit. Or, or you wear a fabulous red lipstick because it makes you feel so stylish and sexy. Whatever. Self-honoring. You can also spend decades learning how to self-honor. And then really golden zone is all about discernment, right? So it's less about what do other people think I should be doing? What does society think I should be doing? What are all the rules and the doctors and the officials saying? And it's all about, okay, let me take all that in and let me put it through my filter of discernment. What is in it for me? What's my job to do here? What do I believe suits and fits and serves? And then getting rid of the stuff that doesn't, including relationships, habits, stuff in your house. There's so much clearing and decluttering that you can do in this golden zone that is an incredible service to your soul. So the motto of the golden zone is really, I trust the path will be shown. And for this, I love the image of Michael Jackson's video when he's I think it's Billie Jean, and he's jumping and like the little path lights up. That's how I feel like the golden zone, when you are allowing things to light up and then you move when you're inspired. Move when you're inspired. There's your next step. There's your next step. And there's no rush. There's no forcing. There's no getting it right. All that, which is hustle energy, all that goes away. So those are the 4 zones. And it's just a quick taste of the options before you, the energetic choices that you have, especially at this stage of life where there's a lot of room to own your experience, even if it's hard and it's painful. And I'm not saying the golden zone is going to resolve your experience and you're going to be who you used to be, some, derivative of that. No, golden zone is exactly allowing and making space for who you are right now. And you may have to grieve who you were. Let's be real. I don't want to whitewash this. There's no bypassing here. Bypassing and bitching are kind of 2 of the same energies, especially when it comes to menopause. They have their place. Like, it's nice to mention all the symptoms because it's validating. And it's nice to acknowledge that, you have the resources to be positive about things. These are all good things, but the real golden energy comes from just simply accepting where you are, who you are, how you feel, and then doing the work to soothe and care for yourself in whatever that looks like for you. And if that, for me, that looked like going to a bunch of healers and practitioners and getting their wisdom about, getting tests, getting protocols, getting supplemented. For me, I feel so much better. But had I not also clued into what my soul was trying to do on a spiritual level, like how could I use this contrast as a way to really step in even more deeply into my own self-expression, my truth, who I am in the world, this menopause to me has been a huge service, and it's been in service to whom I'm becoming as a human being in my next half of life, and who I can be in the world and what I can light up for others, given the journey I've been on. So, so that's a quick taste of the 4 energy zones. There is a download available on the website. I'd go grab it because it's a nice way to just, how am I showing up and how can I make some different choices about how can I serve myself in a different way? No blame, no judgment, just like, yeah, this energy doesn't feel good. What happens if I can get into that golden energy? And, golden energy is what lights you up. It makes you magnetic. It is a creative engine in your life. So if you want to create the life you love, you do that through the golden energy. You're always creating your life. It's just, do you want to do it through default energy or really intentional golden energy? So that's the choice ahead of you. And especially at this time in midlife, we get to get real clear about how we choose to show up. And if we don't, that's a choice too. You're always making a choice, whether it's to take action or inaction, there's always a choice. So download the guide. And then if this is resonating and, maybe you're saying, oh, but, I have some really bad stuff, or, oh, I just don't know how to get out of that, habitual pattern of, struggle or autopilot or hustle, reach out. I mean, I am here for this kind of conversation. If you have specific questions around menopause and midlife, I'm certain I have resources I can direct you to. Or if you're just simply looking for, like, I'm done with who I have been and I'm ready to create who I am going forward. And that, we call that more next chaptering. If you're ready to figure out what's next for you, that's absolutely one of my superpowers. So I would love to have a conversation, and you can reach me via the website or Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the places. And then I want to let you know that in addition to coaching, I also offer retreats. And I find retreats are these powerful incubators. When you strip away everything that's familiar and you go to an energetically powerful place, which is, I take my clients to retreat in Sedona, it's so much easier to access that golden energy. It's so much easier to get the downloads from your own spiritual guidance and creative intelligence. So if you're interested in a retreat, absolutely let me know and we can talk about that too. But mostly, I just want to thank you for being part of the Full Living After 50 series. I hope you've enjoyed the expert conversations, and I would love to hear how all of this lands with you. And if you have any questions, absolutely get in touch. All right. Thank you so much.